叫我几个别帮些，当不的你不的些，叫我几个那边几个王都这边等的帮些，用到的些个没多啊，叫我俺妈的到亲戚的到些，叫我起码的用些个多啊，叫我几上个到了，日本现在用的些个要嘛的，叫我你就当这不可些，叫我起码个样这不可些，才算些个要嘛的，我真的多，那些的叫我送进的些个多。叫我俺们刚要让我去写啥一些，是跟着原来中医养生的时候的，叫我俺们叫我刚要让我去写，那大去写，麻烦把那去写，叫我送了过去点的写个多，我第一个的写个的，叫我去里边帮这样永远的写个那呢，来了不写好过头的话是个的，他的开始去呢，叫我俺们的开始写，先第点这个过头了，嗯，起码永远的去写。听这些等到考试时，我第些个了，第些的人可叫我进来，俺们介绍来了介绍，今天也听的了去来了介绍，今天也见嘛去，叫我这个，告诉这边等这都是娘的，就等这也现在的帮介绍的，今天如果要那些，还可以去到，叫我送今天叫我今天的些个了，我今天帮去捐嘛去吧。去年呢，来上的课程有的第二个月正在写着，我今年我第一个的写月了，但你可是别的老差的，一年多次，忙老些呢，把那个生病。我那等着养了中年得到了，叫我去年纪等着，差的钱年纪往都写吧，当时多，叫我年光都写的等着写月的，是吧？中年部得到叫我送了些，然后过些阶段是中年的叫我寄托了，车上写么多。用色的时候的，啥时的原来中医有色的，叫我记些，叫我你写什么写，我写的给么写个多少时个的，嗯，跟着查了，先你就往头去，叫我你一个往头去的，跟着写个的，原来中医写的啥，是吧？那这个叫我去你就跟着查你就往头去吧，当时跟着查你写个的，查你是的叫我这个浪波了，跟着查个这个的中医的过的。没叫我让我来等着看这个查的去中医的课了吧？车上是等着查的去是个了。嗯，那个是的。哦，原来中医得到叫我去你去等着查的先你就往头去的，等着你叫我你那也给往头去的，等着写个多写的写的，是吧？哦，真的，往头去吧他。你中医部得到叫我送了7年吧。写中医的叫我年纪等着写的，叫我送了过些讲的写个多些了。中医部得到叫我送了참东部차送的写呀，东部卡的就送钱的写个多少，叫我这里就写，叫我现在就写，现在就写，叫我送了过去讲的写个多少个了。东部送的就最起来，这个的真是有的时候了。哦，就叫我年纪。过些节的等叫我几个头没，你头没，叫我送了过去给么写药了，叫我你老爷个等着的，叫我送给车了过去给么写药的，这个的是过写药的，嗯，那呢，我真的搞了啥，其他人现在老表干嘛去了，收入奖呗，加钱这玩意儿，当当俺这的收入奖呗都给，的邻居说的，今天请你写药的。你收入奖呗，对这边呢，你送啥时候干嘛去了是吧？当不送你偏偏要那个是，后面嘛的话，你们都是送不那么些送的了，这偏把是的，这不的讲政府呢，永远有啥偏偏要那些的，这个叫偏给的是，后面嘛的话是，你们都是送不那么些送不这个，你叫啊。是吧？当不他们嘛，一般都是来叫我人呢，俺说说没给我那俺说说叫我人呢，老的没来说吧，真的偏给我的，当不送的是我的，你当到就真的送些，他们嘛说一般都送不那么些送过的些给我的，你莫当2年的些给我的，他们嘛的把的你莫了， 아니 니번도지 레드 레셔라 수번남시데 레게 네버데 냥게 소자 레게 콘수 또버시 셰르 레드 냠도 셰셔라 그런데 레 마르바 넘버 셰바세 세니 버셔라 다디 그래 살루자베 돌레세 때 담보 숨니 펜베야라 고스 토메 마르바 니번도지 수번남시 수부데 랑게 데부 껴와 펜제레 셰레 거기 유르부 고르게 와라 penangazo mindeshi kechi leji sayuna tati tome maru kuna nibandu lesa sumbanam se pasa sayuna ti drebu de kewa de kadu pe mabe tende yo mara kewa shenda le shenda to drebu mi ini tendel ke ini chema mele kechi le drebu chwa de desi yora ni drebu de tarin buru so da penje ge yala se pembe yala go 시소지 템버다 통매 말이 보다 이번 두시기 내세 수번 남시 펜지기 야라이시 수번 남시는 펜지 저와 펜지를 로 근데 다들 추신기 저와 원래 뒤질랍나야 뭐래
So here, then we are talking about in the text the 12 links of dependent origination. We will be picking up slightly before where we left off on page 121 of the English. So here, the 12 links of dependent origination can be explained over the course of, say, 2 lifetimes, or they can be explained over the course of 3 lifetimes, of multiple sorts of lifetimes. So we have like the life that we have right now, and then the causes that we are creating for a future life. And so someone might wonder, well, why is this not explained in terms of just one single life? Like we see that these are divided into some sort of causes and some sort of effects and so forth. And really, when it comes to the mode of explanation, the reason that it is not explained over the course of one lifetime is to demonstrate the way in which the kind of, like if we take this lifetime that we have right now, there were causes that led to our current lifetime. But also in this lifetime, we are creating new causes for the next lifetime that will ripen and will be sort of actualized in a future life. So here, there is a purpose in kind of showing the way in which, rather than across a single lifetime, all of these go like straight in order: ignorance, karmic formations, consciousness, and so forth, but rather that it's kind of a continuous cycle in the sense that we have those sorts of projecting causes and actualizing causes for the life that we have right now. But we are also in those, in the results that ripen in this life, we're then creating new sort of karmic causes that will lead into the future. So here, it's really showing the way in which this is kind of a continuous sort of a cycle, and it doesn't have any kind of a break in it. So here, beginning with a question that says, the 12 factors of dependent arising are posited from the viewpoint of 2 sequences of dependent arising in both a former and future lifetime. How are they then posited in 3 parts for future lifetimes? So here, when it comes to then the way in which these are taught in terms of 3 lifetimes, rather than just there's the way in which they could be taught across 2 lifetimes, like the perspective of the life now and what is being created for the future. Here, this is posited in terms of the kind of sequence that came in the past, what is happening now, and then what will happen in the future. So the answer then says, the Master Kamalashila's detailed commentary on the Rice Seedling Sutra states, the first 3 are projecting factors. So here, when it comes to these first 3, again, he is indicating that the first factor of ignorance, the second factor of conditioning factors or karmic formations, and the third factor of consciousness are projecting factors. So here, these 3 are really, although the sort of intention with that, motivated by ignorance, we create various karmic formations, and those in turn are placed on the causal consciousness. And those are what project one into a particular rebirth, whether it is as a human or a god or into the lower realms. So these 3 are grouped together as projecting causes, although technically the consciousness that is sort of holding those imprints is not karma itself, it is grouped together with this. And when it refers to them as being projecting factors, this indicates that it can take a long time. We begin a cycle by having a moment of ignorance, this first fundamental ignorance, and then due to that create various karmic actions, which in turn leave imprints on that consciousness. But those can come to ripen not just in the next life, but there could be a long period in between the creation of those kinds of projecting factors and their ripening into various results.
Oh yeah. That day kiwa sigdo ande. That day chujin kiwa. Ta ngaranzo susu mesi kiwa ande samla tangura. Chujin se mingi jiga mingi dewa deke mara. Oh, that day chujin ki kiwa. That day susu kiwa ande yesi de dewa. That day susu kiwa dita bula chunde shena sigura. Oh, that day ngazu kiwa ande susu kiwa de shisha shena se. Penji ki yala sumbu teta. That 추진기 교환디 응어지 교화 가루신도 두글라세 펜지기 야라섬도 토메 마르바 이번 두지기래 순번남시세데 레지 파샤냐 된게 네버여 된게티 진된게티 납시시거라 어때 숨부티스도 펜지기 야라 대숨부테다 다데 추진기 교환디 응어마 소소 교환디 응에마들 Tome maruba nibadi sumba namshi sumbuti truba sigre. Tiringema dele truba sigre. Tiringema dula. Kiawa tondra ngele sa shabe. Kiwe legend rebu tanda. Tome maruba nibadi sumba namshi ti yin sigre sigora. Tome maruba nibadi sumba namshi ti sosu tande kiawa penji ki. Ti sumbuti kiawa ngama til tata yo sigre. Ti ngama yo sigre. Kiawa ngama kaya runga shilia. Pe mambu gorni ya miya yuwarwa. Kiawa ngama kaya runga shilia. Tubare sigara, tindido. Sumbutida tade chujinki, kiawa di nganji kiawa kangrung shido. Ti ngama kiawa, ngama diwa, ti ngama kanya ruwa shi tubare shere. Kiawa shanda sil suwa sumbuti. Shiba mingsu da ngaba keshi, tubare ba, tsorwa che, pangbe yana yin shin shido. Ta shiba mingsu shido. Ngeje shisha ngarazu kiwalande pam mai ngele nizam chorborwa tende shiba mingsu se kiwa tambulandu sa pame kudra ta sosu shiba chitil yortile mingsu chiribe tende sigra shiba mingi pumbusde semdi te nyam sosu semdi tina lepsarwa soan dushi semba regba mare o tesu nyamdo lete yora shiba de lepde yora namba shiba de 소한 두시 남바 시바 뜻님 돌레테 와라 시바 텔라 민기 봉부시라 봉부시요 바티나네 수지 봉부 소야 봉부 두시 봉부 두시 남바 시베 봉부 시텔라 민기 봉부시기도 수기 봉부시도 티티다 소부 차장게 투요 말데 마이 테 밤에 쿠다니 데베 기나 남시디 슈도라 텔라 수시게 와라 텐데 시바 민수 다 디서 나바 계시 시바 민수 저 당불랑베 내급들어 남시 흉마타버들 시바 민수 세계바 계시 저 당불랑에 들다 전에 시바 민수다 나바 계시에서도니 미기 나와나 제르르서바 계속 미기 가서 원불라서 계속 되고라 telea ngaba keshi sikdo miki keshi nawe keshi tozu su chayong gora tukba rekba tele teneni yulia chayade wambuda yu chay namshida yu chayade gora timbo tsora seni yabuda tuga ku tsora de gora tsora dewa da tungeta ti yabudu sa ti yabumedu samsa tsora de gora tsora che pangbe yana yinshi tezula pangbe yana sikra tome maruwa niban duji sumba namshi sumbudige pangbe yana timba tsowa che pangbe yana yinshin isi. Di nam chujinji di tso tsama di sosu kiawa tatarji kiawa diyam kiawa diyam parji kiawa tante kiawa dili tukirwa di kiba mesu kiawa larwa nga ba kichi tukwa rekwa timba tsowa sera tuzu nga zu tante sosu 메신 딜 투버와 어 이시테 남 추진기 다데 껴완디엄 파르기 껴와 딜 투버죠 파르기 껴서 나마체 단다시 단데 껴완디 파르기 껴와 근데 마음바세 용기 들어와 다 된다 다데 껴완디 투버래 소소 저 마이멜은 이제 샤르네 해서데 시범 소제 나가 계지 투버를 봐 뜸바 소화되게 되다 다들 좋아했겠네. 대화 동에 가린 양주는 양치 대그라. 제 방배 양라 인신이세. 인신. 디남 추진기 다대 교환될 투거래. 야야네 빠르게 교환돼. 아마 토메 마로 이번에 숨번남시 숨등 아마 두르와. 다 시범 mensu네 시티바도 다대 교환될 투거래. 빠르반될 투거래 시거나. 교환되면 빠르게 교환될 투거는 좋아라세. 디남라 펜제다 방배 준대 디남 펜제다 방배 준대 인신에세 펜제데 토메 마루와 니반도지 숨번남시 숨들에서 방배 대부대 시범에서가 계지 두버려봐 듬바 소라들에서 디긴 대부대로 방바세 디다니 추진기 다데 교환디 왕도 제베 텐디 사치고에서 대조 강가 단데 소수 메진디 텐데 중이나네 지지바 차르버 지그레서 거라 대 공도레서 거라 디다니 추진기 다데 소소소 센데라 라라 소소기 다데 교환디 왕도 제베 텐데 사치그레 텐데 사치익스디단 교와치 왕도 제베 텐데 투들 사치익스라 교와 현대네 텐데 현대 교와 현대가 차로와 어디보다 지교네야
So, here, then, picking up again in the text, it says, take the example of Dharmadatta's present life. Now here, that's just a name. We could put in our own life and really think about this in terms of our own existence. So those three projecting factors exist in some other lifetime prior to our own present life. So we have these three projecting factors of, again, the fundamental ignorance, karmic formations, and then the consciousness that holds the kind of propensities, the ability of that action to bring about a result in the future. So these were already accomplished, right? Those three projecting factors exist in some other lifetime prior to our present life right now. So those kinds of projecting factors could have been done in our previous life, in the life previous to that, in thousands of lives previous. Whatever previous life it was, those are already accomplished. And then when we join to the present life, so again, those three projecting factors exist in some other lifetime prior to our life right now. And then looking at the life right now, the fourth through seventh factors, name and form, the six sense bases, contact, and feeling, are projected factors. They exist in our present lifetime right now. And so as we're describing this, it doesn't really come in the English, but this is the middle life. We're talking about a previous life and future lives, and the life that we have right now is really the sort of middle life. So when we connect to a new life, as in the consciousness enters into the egg and sperm, into that embryo, this then begins the sort of process of name and form. Now, name is referring to consciousness and the kind of associated feelings, discrimination, and conditioning factors, whereas form is referring to the kind of physical aspect of that being at the time when you're just connecting to a new life, taking conception. That would be sort of the full form is not there yet, but this is the kind of embryonic form of that sperm and egg together is then given the name of form. And this then, as it develops, will develop the six sense bases, the kind of bases by which one is able to connect with an object. And then when those do connect with various objects, that is called contact. And due to contact, we then have feeling. So these factors, these four, are the kind of projected factors that we experience in this life due to those projecting factors of the past that were already accomplished either in the past life or many lives in the past. Then you have this name and form, the six sense spaces, contact, and feeling. And from those, one then starts to create new sort of cycles. So the kind of middle life, the lifetime that we have right now, again, these projecting factors are causes, and the projected factors are their effects. These are factors of dependent arising of the same sequence. So we have, when we carry out these kind of sequences of dependent origination, they're going to go across multiple lifetimes. So it's this kind of cyclic effect in that we have the kind of projecting causes that took place at some life in the past. Then here in this middle life or the present life, we have the kind of projected effects that come about in just this life. And those in turn, due to those, we will create new sort of projecting factors and are in this sort of cycle of continuing to create new karmas.
Oh yeah. Tene chujin gi sudo. Da sosu gewa shisha samdang ura. Chujin se sosu. Tande sosu gewa. Tene sosu chujin gi gewa chima penji gi. Da gewa tanda shaya de gewa di shaya swa. Tome mariba niban du sumba namsi chira. Shiba menso ngaba keji tuba rikba tumba tsoa bado. Tsendi di ko de shaya de swa. Da ngone chene tsendi liya geba seba kuba lemba chuba seba ko ride. Tezo shaya ma swa. Di shaya ma le de ura shaya mara. Da gewa chima de shaya ura. Gewa niga shaya wa. Gewa chima de sosu gewa chima de dosa de. Tene chujin gi gewa chima penji gi lela so debji gi geba seba si shaya doa. Geba seba sido da tsoa yudu tsoa dewa yene dewa la segre. Tsoa dunga yene dunga de dewa la segi ora. Seba yungu ora. Di mena samsa dewa de la seba yungu ora. O di tene se chujin gi gewa chima penji gi so tanda nga ranzo. So gewa chima penji gi sigora. Ene lela so debji gewa chima penji gi le yorwa. Iban duji lela soba. O delia so debji di nipa tujen duche ne. Ni chuba sibe le sa chagora. Iban duji gi le dan chuba sibe le ni niga le rwa. Iban duji di tambu le sa ne namshe kanla nipa shaa shange de rwa. Ta di chuba sibe le sudu seba de karsore. Nipa tujen duche shabe le de sore. Nipa duji gi le de nipa tujen duche be kabji le de ma tu le saba ke yo mar. Chanda yo marwa. O tende tene chujin gi gyawa chima penji gi le la suen debje su le de nipa chenpu ya soya tundare. Pena nganzo shiga lamul ya ta kangali yongde nipa meshi chidang shebe na. O ta nga mashina sa tanda saya tunye gonya da chi mi longche de tena samsa mindrawa seba yongo ore. Ta baru chi semsidara chi di chi yo choga tong choga tanda chi de yo choga samsa tengi ora. Tila lemba sigo ora, seba de shukchiru do ora. O kya shiga lamu de tingi dige ni le la suyo tabgi ora. Ta le kewa ta me kewa karla suyo tamma tabde ya susu samla tangcha ke pacha nipa chi jo kindel ra le irwa. Kewe le la suyo tabge ora, me kewe le la suyo tabge ora. Nipa kongbet soga de. Tene chujin gi kewa chima penche gi le la suyan depche gi ta kewa chima le soa, kewa nyi mado shek mado, nga ma tene tende kashe she soa, da chima tene kashe shek re. Penche gi le la suyan depche gi se nipa kongpe do soya ke, keba seba se, kuba lemba se, keba seba de, kuba lemba de, nipa shuk chiru chimbe kechara chira, mado shek niga chiwa re. Keba seba da, kuba lemba da, teni gi nipa tujen do chebe, chuba sibe le se, mende sebe do chade, yangsi lage seba sirwa, made na sa te yo chowa samsa she. Ta teni a chi tonya yo chowa samsa, yang mesidi te yobale segdwa, yangsi lage seba sigora. O teni ge so tabal teni, le nipa tujen do chusuna, mikiwe le inanda, kiwe le inanda, tele chuba sibe le sigora. Siba sede kewa chima kewa dele sigora. Di penji gi le sunza sibe le mingda shara. Juba siba di kyawa terwa. Kyawa penji gi le nipa tujen di sunza teli juba sibe le mingda rwa. O di tukure sora. Chima penji le la suyan depchi gi kyaba seba da, kuba lemba da, tingi gi nipa tujen du chebe juba sibe le se. Ta tunda kyaba seba kuba lemba juba siba le se. O di sumdi tukure shara. Juba sibe le che ngomba rupchi gi yanla yan tela ngomba rupchi sikdwa. Tome maruwa nipa duji sumba namshi tela penji sikdwa. Gyaba seba kuba lemba chuba sumbu di ta nyebu sunza rupchi sikwaran drebu di rup chocho. Ta nyebu kyu sunza rupchi sikwara. Chibu di ta ringbu kyu sunza penji silab sharwa. Shen keba kaya mara. Chuba sibe le che ngomba rupchi gi yanla yanla se. Di sumya chujingi tade kyawan diyam. Ta di sosu mechin dili chubgirwa. Gyaba seba kuba lemba chuba siba sumbu di chen dili chubgirwa shara. Sen di tende mare, kyawa chime tende kundore, yin. Trupse de sigora, truye de chen dili korangi kyawan dili chubgirwa shara. Gyaba seba kuba lemba de tende, sen di tende ki tsari besna marwa, chima gire, kyawa chima yunga de tende kundore. Sen di gyaba seba kuba lemba de kyawa ngama dogora, shigalama dogora. Di talya she yo mara, tate she dede ora. Ma she bishe, tende swans. Disumya chujingi tade kyawan diyam, parki kyawan dilan jokba yinshi yose. Ya tishi labshana kamba.
No. So, here again, we are talking about these links over multiple lifetimes. And here in the book, it says Dharmadatta, but really we can think of our own life. Picking up again, this life, they exist in Dharmadattas or in our own present lifetime. So these projecting factors are causes and the projected factors are their effects. So here, when it comes to when we have been explaining the kind of links of dependent origination, there were those first three, and that would be ignorance, the karmic formations, and then the kind of consciousness on which the imprints were left. And then we have an explanation of name and form, the six sense bases, contact and feeling. But that isn't a complete cycle, right, of dependent origination. So here, these are factors of dependent arising in the same sequence. And now both the eighth factor, craving, and the ninth factor, grasping, which nurture the karma that projects dharmadattas our own future lifetime, as well as the 10th factor, becoming, which is the karmic potency that has been made active by those two factors, are the actualizing factors. So here, again, it is these 8th and 9th links that sort of foster or nurture the karma that we have created in the past in order that it become potent. And at the point where it becomes potent in that it can bring about a kind of result, then we call that, here it's called becoming, or we could call it renewed existence, whatever we want to title that 10th link. Now, the second link of karma and this 10th link of becoming are really the same sort of thing at different moments. It's not as though a new karma has been created, but rather that second link of karmic formations has put down a kind of imprint potency on the karma, and then on the consciousness, and then due to the factors of craving and clinging, the 8th and 9th links, that is then sort of nurtured such that it ripens into this 10th factor of becoming, which really then is giving rise to a new life. So at the time of death, there is a kind of craving or a sort of clinging that can arise. Like when we are surrounded, say, by all of our possessions and friends and family, there can be a kind of clinging to not being being separated from those things, a craving for that sort of existence and those kinds of things. And this in turn acts as that kind of clinging and the craving and clinging, those 8th and 9th links, serve to then foster, nurture a karma that will lead to a particular rebirth in terms of the 10th link of becoming and then the 11th of birth and 12th of aging and death. So at the time of death, whatever it is that we are sort of most habituated to, what is called to mind in terms of the sorts of karmas or thoughts that we have, will be sort of ripened, fostered or nurtured by those 8th and 9th links. And so this kind of, again, the 8th and 9th links are not totally distinct as far insofar as their kind of nature, but craving leads to a stronger sort of feeling of clinging, which in turn is kind of this wish to not be, for example, separated from our existence, from our life, from our possessions, and so forth. And so that leads in turn to fostering, ripening the kind of 10th link of becoming, which in turn leads to birth. And so here, when it says then that these both the 8th factor craving and the 9th factor grasping or clinging, which nurture the karma that projects Dharmadatta's future lifetime, as well as the 10th factor becoming, which is the karmic potency that has been made active by those two factors, are actualizing factors. And these three are also in Dharmadatta's present lifetime. So here, these exist in the present lifetime insofar as one is creating the kind of causes that will lead to a future lifetime. And they are called actualizing factors because they are so close in proximity. The kind of craving, clinging, and becoming that exist in the prior life lead to the direct next life. They are close in terms of they actualize the kind of life that we will have in the future. And while they occur in this life, they're really part of the links that develop a new life. So we have, for the life that we have right now, we have already experienced those actualizing factors in the immediate previous life, that craving, clinging, and becoming, which in turn led to the birth and then aging and death that we are experiencing in this life, although they are not explicitly detailed. So here, this is the kind of way in which we should understand this.
Oh, yeah. No, don't do it. No, don't give us a Kuba Lemba, Juba Siba somebody, Tandangaranzu, Kiwa Chiman, Rupi, Tendriva. You had it sendili your motto, Sardit, Kiwa Chimagit, and the Sar, Hondorva, Sendi Mara, or teacher. Chujin, the net chepe de Kiwa Chimar Kiwa in Bessa. Chujin, the net Shine, Nikiwa Chimakigra, Tiendeco, Chujiba Kiwa, Chuniba. Kashi chiri kashi ni ngombar tube yangla yinsi. Ni de ngombar tube yangla. Keba seba da kuba lemba chuba siba somke ngombar tube yangla de. Kares ni kewa chima ke. Kewa da kashi ni tiri esera. Ta tanda kewa chima tiri. Tuti le karisha so keba seba kuba lemba chuba siba sheswa. Ni kewa ngone de kewa chima lengira. Kewa chima tili chujiba kewa Juniba Kashi, Nima do Shea Marwa. Takewa Tenali Shiba Mesungawa Kitchen Ejena, Shiba Mesungawa Kitchen to whatever Timber Soasa to Pancha Yungra, Mambani Ungura, or Yin Lase. Dini Chujin de Kawa de Chujin de Kawa de Temata with Kawa Chimala Georges. Kawa da Gashin, the Kawa Chime, Kawa da Gashin Sigara. No, Kawa Chimade, Chujiba Kawa Juniba Kashi said. Ti chujin se tada sosu kiawan di chema dili yongju tere esi gora. Kiawan di, kiawan di tema takwa su, kiawan di tema tato. Ti che taga rangla yongkenge, o kiawa tili shaa gore esi ra. Ti kiawa ta, gashili shaa gore esi. Kiawa chima lan juwa chi esi. Trupchi ta trube, Yunde desi, Trupsi ki kyusudu kyaba seba kuba lemba, chuba seba sumbudal sigdo, Trube sudu kyawa da kashingi dire songa, Trupsi ta Trube, Yunde di Trupsi ki kyaba seba kuba lemba ta Trube drebu kyawa da kashingi sigora, Yunde di Katrina Much.
Mm.
Two order. Oh, I need that is awesome. So, when did it? Oh, yeah. Oh, to see that to be today, Dinam choosing the Kawa Shimmer, give a tender charge by no sir. Oh, Tandadi, Kava Seba, Kuvalemba, Chuba Siba Sede, in Maranzu, Kawa Shimmer, they get tender charge, but it's send it and take a condo mares ora. Send it and the Yala Junish Kavalans or take condo mares ora. You know, say, Tedana, Kawa Parba, Tade, Kawandi, Kundo, teach Lamia to do she loves him.
So here again, both the eighth factor, craving, and the ninth factor, grasping, which nurture the karma that project dharmadatas our own future lifetime, as well as the 10th factor, becoming, which is the karmic potency that has been made active by those two factors, are the actualizing factors, or like the actualizing causes that then these three are also in dharmadata's present lifetime, in the sense that these are occurring in this present lifetime. However, they will really are part of the links of the future lifetime. So after dharmadata, we transition from this life, we will be reborn into our future life, where both the 11th factor, birth, and the 12th factor, aging and death, are actualized factors. So here, when it comes to then again, the occurrence of craving, clinging, and becoming really are in this lifetime, but they're really part of the cycle of another set of 12 links in a future lifetime, as in they are the actualizing causes or actualizing factors for a future life, which then have the actualized factors of birth and then aging and death. Now, although birth and aging and death are the only sort of actualized factors that are mentioned, of course, all of the other links will occur as well, as in name and form and the six sense bases and contact and feeling and so forth. And these really are considered to be then part of the future life. So these two occur in terms of the birth and then aging and death in the lifetime that immediately follows our own present life. So these actualizing causes and actualized effects are in the same sequence of dependent arising. So although, again, we have the kind of occurrence of these factors in this life, in the sense that it is the craving, clinging that will lead into the sort of karma of becoming that then leads to a future life and will have birth and then aging and death. Those are part of the sequence of dependent arising of a future life.
Oh, yeah. That Darnas, that the race or a consideration. Keva Parva, Tade, Keva this, social message this wara. Keva Parva, Keva Ngamache, Tata Diche, Mahamba Sumsheva. Keva Parva, Tade, social Keva this wara. Tedana, Keva Parva, Tade, social Keva de Tutin door to so. Karkar Sosana. Tutin door to the Keva Ngamar. Mari Keva Ngama to Kutua to Sadi Keva Ngamada. Tome Mariba, Niban Duji, Sumber Namshi Sumbude, Keva Ngamal to Gure, Jude. Yeah. Dordu de kyo ngamar marik bata duji ji le da leg niba tujen du niba kala dembe number sheba sumdirwa tome mariba niba duji sumba namshi sumbutile she yo mare sure kyu dudwa duji ji le da leg niba tujen leg niba kala dembe leg niba shasa ge number sheba semde siwara sem kitendo konde wadi karjine tete wara dembe gyudu gi namshi sumle mashe la ase ta tenda mazu kyawan de gyudele ya karishe sonsena tende yala chungi shede tome mari badangi ban duji de sumba namshi sumdi she son gyudele ya ti mado keba seba da kuba lemba chuba seba she ma son ye yorwa ti kyawan ngama dhugurwa shiga lamulya keba seba kuba lemba chuba seba she entene ngazu kyawan de lambarwa shiba me su she drebule do oh tendigdo 다 규숨마도 쉐어 말해세 규 가르라버스네 개바세바 쿠발렘바 추바세바 숨디 쉐어 말해세 규투브나네 티쉐어 말해세 거라 니바 간라 덴베세 규투게 남시 숨레 마셰라세 다 셴다데 고고레 다다 교와 치마들이야 개바세바 쿠발렘바 추바세바체 아니 교랑그레 쉐드 알레 당에 교가 마 개바세바 쿠발렘바 추바세바디 네마도네 enga mi kiwele ne ba karsere so tamne mile kiware sam tiha ko ra tamadil ro de she ko yara mare ba da duji da le gin de ba kala de be kutu gin nam she sumle ma she la ase ku shen da ke ba se ba ku ba len ba she ma so ta kewa chima de ya kewa chima de chukji ba kewa chunyi ba ga shi si ni ma do she ma so ten du ka so de kewa chima la drebun dor du ten drebu kanga dor du share keba seba kuba lemba chuba seba de shara drebun dor du ne ane shiba mensu nga ba keje tukba rekba tumba tsora se tu she ma so kewa chima de ni ma do she o mara drebu de si gorta kewa chima la drebun dor du de trube drebu kewa da kashi ni le ma shebe kewa parba de tende kewa parba de tende la penji ke penji marik pane number shebe parda se pangbe debu mingsu ne soya par shiche tende tule mebes o tende tube debu kashini le mashe space that is election tambo yeah.
So here then again, and it's not really confusing in the English, but when we talk about the present life in this context of 3 lives, we're really talking about the sort of middle life where we are right now. So beginning in this section on the question, summarizing the causes of the present life, the Buddha described only 3 factors of dependent arising in a former lifetime: ignorance, conditioning factors, and the causal consciousness that carries a karmic potency. So here, when it comes to the way in which the Buddha described this process, he described the kind of projecting factors, those main causes that lead to the current life that we are in right now. So that would be ignorance, the kind of conditioning factors, karmic formations, and then consciousness, particularly that consciousness on which the imprints, the potencies of those karmas were left. And so here, when we're talking about it in terms of summarizing those causes, the Buddha didn't then explicitly teach this 8th, 9th, and 10th links in relation to the present life that we are in now, as in those that happened in a previous life. However, we can understand by the kind of explanation that it is due to the craving, clinging, and becoming that we take a future life, that in turn we must have had those as actualizing causes in a previous life in order to be where we are. So here, those are explained in relation to a future life, as in we will have this kind of craving, clinging, and becoming that lead us to actualize particular results in the future life. And those actualized results, again, going back to the text, summarizing the effects in the next lifetime, he described as actualized effects only birth and aging and death. And so here, when we talk about the actualizing effects of the next life, the Buddha only described then birth and aging and death, leaving out those 4 links from 4 to 7, as in name and form, the 6 sense bases, contact, and feeling. And so it's not as though they're sort of forgotten, but rather this is for a purpose. So therefore, the factors of dependent arising related to the effect that is the present lifetime are only 7, as in the projecting factors of ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness, and then the 4 projected effects of name and form up to feeling. And so someone might think, well, these are sort of incomplete in terms of the factors related to the present lifetime. And so too, when we look at the kind of links that are described for the future lifetime, these also are sort of incomplete, it would seem.
Oh yeah. Na kiwa parman di si to tanda nga ju kiwa di ra su su kiwa di. Kiwa parman di tende tele kari sheris ne. Tenji marik pa ne ene nambar shibe par da se. Kiwa di tende kari sheris ne tome maruba she niban duchi she sumba namshe she so nambar shibe par da se. Phangben drebu kari sheris ne phangben drebu tele shiba mengsu she so nga ba kechi tukba rekba tumba chowa de she so phangben drebu sendi. 방배에서 방배대부 민수 시바 민수디 교 담불라도 아니 민수라 시바 민수제 나바 계지제 두바르 바제 tumba 초아르와 아니 메즈 초르제 미네 미 디두르 신양 메시케 던드엔디 던드 초아냐 디두 가리뇨네 뇨치 되고라 어 저니께 제 시와도 좀 거라 디단도 대시에가 말아 민수네 초야 바르 시제 덴데 뒤에 매베 뒤마도 셰마서 아첸디 도메 마르바셰 니반두지 셰 숨바남셰 셰로 니 시바 메송가 바케지 두바르 바티바 초아 바르셰서 뒤에 봐 근데 중니 거라 중니네 뒤마도 셰마 마르 첸디 소스 메진디리아 사르치바 메세디 와 코르당게 라 코베 근데 중니 나네 네게 얘네 단디래 가셰 중니 나네 뒤마도 셰마서 어디시고라 시제에서 땐데 뒤에 매배에서 셔요 말에 디마도 셔면 양라 중이 마상와 주시 때 첸디 땐데 관도 챤나 땐데 중이 참마 송하셔 가르마차레스네 개바세바 고발렘바 추바시바디 셔요 말와 첸디 시고다 첸디 개와 주시기 개바세바 고발렘바 셔요 말아 디네 개바세바 고발렘바 셔서 디가르 디껴 치메 디 겨와 둡시 디 셰거 마도 나저 첸디 둡시 땡게마 겨와 가마든 로고라 딘디나 셰요 마라 니 중니 사마 송아서레 땡데 중니 사마 송아 첸디 겨와 원도 셰나 디마도 셰마 송아서레 아니 대신도 겨와 치메 줄라 겨와 치마데 셰소 죽지바 겨와 중이바 가시스니마도 셰마 송아 다절이야 제부들시거다 개와 치메 줄라 줍지기 주 세바 렘바 세바 숨시아송 개바 세바 쿠바 렘바 추바 세바 시두잔 개와 치마를 줘야 되시고라 숨다 주변 제부들라 개와다 가시니 시아송 줍지바 개와 중이바 가시세 디마도 셰토마송 셰마송 셰 텐데 양라 나레 메베세 오 나마도 셰마송세 양라 중이 매발 교르냠나테 양라 중이 메도아 겨완디 양라 중이 시아마소 겨와치마 양라 중이 시아마소 양라 중이 마상네 거가 거기도 와세나시고라 마상고 냠나세 어디지트 야리다모 디바도 냠나
So here again, and this is a sort of qualm that has arisen. Really, therefore, the factors of dependent arising related to the effect that is the present lifetime, this sort of middle lifetime in this presentation over 3 lifetimes, are only 7. So we only have listed out explicitly the projecting factors of ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness, and the 4 projected effects of name and form up to feeling. So here, when it comes to the kind of explanation of the present life, there have been these projecting factors explained that had to have taken place in a previous lifetime. And then on the basis of those, we take up the various projected factors, referring to then name and form, the 6 sense bases, contact, and feeling. And on the basis of having taken up those, the sort of name and form and so forth, we experience various feelings. As a human, as an animal, this is the kind of basis of our current life. And here, explicitly, it has not taught the lengths of birth and then aging and death. And so in this, this again is explaining this from the context of someone who was womb born in terms of the kind of development of name and form and the 6 sense bases and so forth. But it would seem then that when in this mode of explanation, there are only 7 of the 12 factors related to the present lifetime. So therefore, this 12 links is incomplete. And then likewise, for the sequence that produces the next lifetime, there are only 5 factors in the sense that we then explain these 3 actualizing causal factors of craving, grasping, and becoming, which in turn actualize the kind of effect of birth and then aging and death. And so why are the 12 factors not present, all present for each lifetime? So here, again, in relation to this current life, we only have then these 7 factors of the 3 projecting causes and the 4 projected effects. And when it is sort of apportioned this way, then we only have 5 of the links that pertain to the future life. So here it's basically asking the question, well, how is it that we need a complete cycle of 12 links if in this mode of explanation, in one case, you only have 7 for this life, and in the other, we only have 5 for the future life?
Oh, yeah. That's what Mama tells you. That's what Mama tells you. Kinala Kari Yoris, Kurang tended Sigu Marta, Kyangama de Tende Korchi Shego Mare, Tende Kodan Kulu, Tende Shego Mara. You said this a Kyo Sum the Koshikam Shegora. Kyangama Tere, Sendi, and it Tendegi, Kondo, Tendegi Tsar, and the Karkar Shegorasana. Kyangama Tere Tade, Parbe Kyoan di, Parbe Kyot and the Sendira, so Kyoan di, Kyoan di, Kyun Dor Duni Shashas, Karkar Sheresana, Tome Marubasha, Niban Duchi, Sumbanamshi Sumzam, Muso Temba, Tangashe. Any Kyoa Parva Tere, Kyoa Chima, Trupchiki, Takyoa Parma Dile Karisha Sosana, Dile Yube Tende del Karisha Resana, Kyoa Chima Drupchiki Tende Sivara, Tende Sar Chime Tende Tende Sara. Kyoa Parva Tere, Kyoa Chima, Trupchiki Kyu, Sele Seba Sum Sheba, Tele Seba Keba Seba Kuba Lemba Chuba Seba Sum Sheswa, Kyoa Chime Tende Kundora. Trupchiki Kyu Sum de Sheswa. Kyoa Chime Trupchiki Kyu, Sele Seba Sum Sheba, Tele Kyoa Tambur, Yobar Shebe, Gula Se. Kyoa Tambur Yobar Shebe Gula, Penji Kyu Marik Pada, Duchi, Number Sheba Sumza Mayimbar, Trupchiki Kyu, Seba Lemba Seba, Sum Yobaya, Kyoa Parmala Sheba Tele Cheso, Ponula, Tadibido. Tadisio Data, O Quadrusinam. Kyoangoma Tere. Tade Kewa de Ku Dortu de Summa Doshe Maswa, Maripada Duji numbership of Sumzam Musu Tembare Chera, Tembada. Kewa Parva Derese, Sentil Sigora, Parva della Kewa Chime Trupsi Ku Keva Seba Kubalemba, Siba Sumbuti Sheswa, you said. Siba Sumzam Sheba, a Telese, Kewa Tamburu Yobar Shebe, Kuse. Kula penji ki kyoma kyo tambo ngaju nama kyo tele sendi tome marwa niban du sumba namshi su shera kyo tambo ro yobar shebe kula penji ki kyo marik badan duchi da number sheba sumzam mayimbar trupchi ki kyo seba lemba siba sum yobaya kyo parmar sheba tele sa ode Kyoan di, Kutila Kyoangama Tome Marwa Niban Duji Sumba Namshi Sum Yuba Sherwa. Tiki Kyoa Chiman Dredela Tome Marwa Niban Duji Sumba Namshi Yuba de Koko Resera. Toa. Ta Kyoa Chimadelia, Keba Seba de Kuba Lemba Chuba Seba Sherwa. Ti Sheba de Kyoan Dilaya, Keba Seba de Kuba Lemba Chuba Seba Sumdi Niel and Droadi, Teletene Sundi Shego Rese. Ti share tanda ti share tugu yuza ti share yo mara o ti sungara tuji yi kyu seba lemba seba sum yo ba ya kyo barbar sheba tele che su po ni la teleten ha koto gure sora. Deshindo, Kewa Chimara Shebe, Drebulaya, Truben Drebu Kewa Kashini Shera, Kisheba Dege, Sheba Tamle, Mamuka, Teta Mayembara, and Kewa Kashini Nekapter, Debutant the Kewa Kashini Matoshe Mara, in a case at the Kepe Barteliaco, Shiba Mesonga Bakeji to whatever the Zukanga Yungura, Copancha Yungura, Tehako to Gresora. Oh, There's a Mayembara Kewa Kashini Negapsi, Kewa, Sujiba Kewa, Chunjiba Kashi City, that case at the Melikene, me, Shiba Mesunga Keji, Tazuya Young and Drata, Tandul Kenneth, Drata, Hako to Udeswa. Kewa Kashini Negap Terrace, Kesadu, and again Shishi Patel Karjigre, Shiba Mesu Tambu Pame, and Shiba Mesunga Keji to what about them but so to Kaga Young Deswara. Kaptere, Pandre Minsuda, Geshe, Regwada, Soa Yobaya, Parme, Parmatil, Parmatil Tesherva, Sendil Sigora, Sendit and the Teleshiba Mesunga Keji to what was Sherva. Pandre Teshi Shebala, turn the Sheber new source. Whatever the Shishana. No.
So here, the response to this is that there is no fault. The Buddha summarized a previous lifetime's causes of this present life, directly indicating just three factors: ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness. So in that first life, like when we think about, not the first life actually, because we're not explaining the sort of causes that led to the previous life, but rather we're using the causes that were completed in that previous life to understand the sort of middle life or the lifetime right now. So those that occurred in the past, particularly ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness, are the projecting factors that led to the kind of, as it is described for this life, the factors going from name and form through feeling. So those are part of a past life that then create the causes for this current life. And the effects that are explained are then those of the links of 4 through 7. And when it comes to then what is the causes, or what are the causes that lead to actualizing a future life, our continued kind of being reborn, then in terms of this present life, the Buddha explicitly teaches the importance of craving, grasping, and becoming, which are the causes of a future life. And when we look at then the kind of actualized effects of that, it is described in terms of just a birth and then aging and death. However, that doesn't mean that the other factors of name and form and the six sense bases, contact and feeling, are not present in that future life. However, it's just sort of calling attention to particular kinds of sort of parts of the cycle in each life. So here we can infer from the fact that in this life, our craving, clinging, and becoming will lead to actualizing a future life, that must have been present, or sorry, that must have come prior to this present life in terms of being the actualizing factors for the current life. So here, as it says, as he described only the three factors of craving, grasping, and becoming as factors in this middle lifetime that are causes of the next lifetime. So what can you infer from these? The causes existing in a previous lifetime must include not only the projecting causes of ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness, but also by inference that draws from the description of this middle lifetime, we had to have had those actualizing factors of craving, grasping, and becoming as well. And likewise, as effects described in the next lifetime. So again, in this present lifetime, the Buddha explicitly taught the kind of projected effects of name and form and the six sense bases and contact and feeling. But we can also infer that there has to have been, there has to be the actualized effect of birth and aging and death. So, likewise, as effects described in the next lifetime, the Buddha mentioned just the actualized effects of birth and aging and death. However, you can also infer from the example of this middle lifetime that name and form, six sense bases, contact, and feeling also exist in the next life when there is birth and aging and death. And so basically, one needs to, when you look at the kind of presentation of the 12 links, be able to infer that the things that were emphasized in terms of, well, it was those projecting causes of ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness that are the main sort of causes of this present life. Well, although the kind of actualizing causes of our future life, at least in relation to what we're talking about in the present, are not explicitly described, both are necessary in order to bring forth a lifetime in the future. And so too, when we see the kind of actualized effects described of the future lifetime, and we see the projected effects described in relation to this lifetime, we should understand that both are applicable. It's not as though we're going through name and form and so forth without the presence of there having been birth, and now once name and form starts, we're into that aging and death process. So this is something that could be understood through the kind of inference. This, although not explicitly explained, we can infer that all are necessary.
Oh yeah. 다들 공장비도와 로비ing 이제 공장라. 니지 준대 너르도 파르메시스 박발레스도. 니지 준대 너르도 바세. 저 베게 치마들이야 데부들라. 저다 가시니마도 셰어 말와. 아니 가마들이야 저 가메 내가 수첸디 첸디 규들이야 도메 마르바 니반도 숨반남시 숨레 셰어 말아. 티 수거라 니지 준대 너르도 Parmeche Supamale, Kyo Parba Delia, any Drebutele Shiba Minsu, Navachi, Tuba, Batumba, Chayora, Tigi, the Yoba de Coco, Shandatele, Kyo Chimatele, Tiba Coco, Nick Keva Seba, Kuba Lemba, Chuba Siba, Kyo Chima Pengil, Tuchi, Utility Son, Shedu Kyoan D, Kyoan D, Keva Seba, Kuba Lemba, Chuba Siba de Kyoangamatele Chua Yoba. Yoba de China share to good Yeshi Betandara. Or didn't do the share so or the long district.
So, and then there is a citation of a source for this, where it says, similarly, the master of Vasubandhu states in his Treasury of Knowledge, inferring from the middle lifetime, the causes and effects of the two lifetimes are summarized. So here, when it comes to the kind of inferences that we can make, although in relation to the present lifetime, the only causes that are explicitly mentioned are those projecting causes of ignorance, karmic formations, and consciousness, we can infer from the description that we need to have craving, clinging, and becoming in order to actualize our next life, that those must have been present as causes of the current life. And so too, in the same way that we see that the actualized effects of a future life involve birth and then aging and death, so too they need to have the projected effects of this name and form and the six sense bases and so forth. So the life that we have right now, although it's not, the complete causes are not explained in relation to this one lifetime, we can infer that from the kind of explanation about what will come in the future.
Oh yeah. Can I pay you to Marik Badan to see the number ship or Sumji and a Pangbe Debu in Asidua? You do the pages, Pangbe Debu say. To see you, Seba da Lemba, Seba Sumji, Tuben Debu Equalas, that Tupsigi, you Deba Seba Kuba Lemba, Suba Seba Sumdera, T. Debu in Anda, Puripa, because a Penjigi, Tome Marwa Nibadu Sumba Namshi Sumgi, Pangben Drebu Sera, Tezu Tondachi Boresora. No dear. Then I penji you Mari Badan Duchi, the number shape of Sumki, Pangben Drebu in Asa. And if Trubji Giku, Sebada, Lambada, Seba Sumgi, Pangben Drebu in Gurs, Tunji. Descend to Trubji Giku, Sebada, Lamba, Seba Sumgi, Truben Drebu in us, the Truben Drebu Sido. Oh, Drebu Della. The Truben Drebu in a Keba Seba Kubalemba, Suba Seba Sumgi, Truben Drebu in a Sora. Inaya, Penji Giku Marikpada, Dujida, a number shape of Sumgi, Pangben Drebu in question. The Danaya, Mitabu Kewa Penji Giku, Pangben, what Tiba Chilana, do it. Every question is Tiba. Yeah.
So here then it says, therefore, whatever is in effect projected by the projecting causes must be in effect actualized by the actualizing causes. So here in the Tibetan, we have these explicitly laid out. So whatever is in effect projected by those projecting causes of ignorance, karmic formations, and consciousness, then that is so those are projected effects, and it must as well be an effect that is actualized by those actualizing causes. So in order for the kind of projected effects of name and form and the six sense bases and contact and feeling to come about, then it has to have been actualized by those actualizing causes of craving, grasping, and becoming. And so therefore, as it says here, whatever is in effect projected by the projecting causes must be in effect actualized by the actualizing causes. So those actualizing causes being craving, grasping, and becoming. Likewise, whatever is in effect actualized by the actualizing causes must be in effect projected by the three projecting causes. So in terms of the way that these are sort of determined to be either actualizing causes and effects or projecting causes and effects, in order for an effect to be actualized, it must be projected by those three projecting causes. And in order for those projecting effects to be actualized, they need to be actualized by the actualizing causes. These are interrelated in this way.
Tome Marwa Niba Duji Sumban Duchi, and it Kevalia, Rue Cure Sigdo, Dichana ko Penche Sigdo. Keba Seba Kuba Lemba, Suba Seba Sumgin Deputy, Tanya Pucheti, Shaman ever to Kewa de Trukuyara, Shiba Mesula so Trukuyara, Tanya Busonza, Trukchi Cusigdo, Debut and the Shibara, Cutil Taring do Chana, Chitil Penche Cuse, Chitil Trukchi Cusera, Debut in Jiritera. Oh, Titanaya. Tende yena ya mitabi kewa penji ki kyudan se mi kewa tabu penji ki kyudan ro phangben drebi parto se pena mi na tendo ina la ina karin kewa yomara pena sosu cha shane mi nga randa bu se ro penji ki kyudan phangben drebi parto tendo la so pena mi kewa penji ki le che sa kewa jatam ba ngeli sa yu ba che ro ina tingi paru la mi ke madu che le sa yuna ya tendru ta tendru shechi like te shima kewa kyazu shin sadu tendru kewa kyazu lan sadu shine mi le kewa le tala suyo tam ya mi kewa yungurwa kesa ko yungrimbu tingi paru la kewa mi kewa penchi ki kyudan hangben drebi paru tili ya kewa shenda ki sheba yuwa re sigwara tingi paru kewa shenda mi Tome Maro Nibadu Sumba Namshi Sumba Teta, Mi Kyo Malin Bashe, Tini Baru Tendula Soba, Kyo Shanda Tendula Chitena, and Teko Shanda Chuba Sigdo. Ta Keva Seba Kuba Lemba Chuba Seba Sum Dege, Trupsi Judigan Debuti, Kiwachima, Nebato Langura, Tini Parush and that Chue Omaro. Kiaba Seba Kubalemba Chuba Siba Chesosana, Nevado Kiwata Langura. This part of Chugmareswara. Otika Shenke Mara. Debu Tandula Soba, Sobe Tended Sar Shengi, Kiwa Tume Chubanya Yobata. Penji, Gu Pamben Debuti. Trupsi Gu Selen Seba Sumgi, Trubar, Chequebe, Marik Badan Duchi, number Sheba Sumgi, Kando Kiawati, Rune Kuchibe, Penji Kusita, and the Shetama. Trupsi Selen Seba Sumbutege, Truben Drebutela Neva, Tiniparu Kiwashanda Chue Medua, Neve Kuchibese. Debutante la Sarshengi, Sarshengi Keve Cheva Missibes, Nibaru Shanda Sigmara. Kando Keve Neve Kuchibe, Mumba Trupsi Kushi Chawas, or Tibet Chicken.
Mm. So here it says then, nevertheless, it is possible that there also exists in between the projecting causes and the projected effect of, for instance, a human rebirth, many lifetimes of other dependent arising sequences of an animal and so forth. So here, really, this is getting at the kind of distinction between what is a projecting cause and an actualizing cause. The three, ignorance, karmic formations, and that causal consciousness, are sort of the long-term cause. This is why we call them projecting, is because there can be a kind of distance between, whereas then the actualizing causes, that is close in proximity. It's what brings it to actualization or to manifest. And so then when it comes to really the projected results and the actualized results, those are fairly synonymous. But when it comes to the causes, they're called projecting causes and actualizing causes because of their kind of proximity. So here right now, say we are born as a human, and maybe we accumulate the cause to be born as a human again. So we have that ignorance, the karmic formation, and that lays a kind of potency on our consciousness. Well, it could be the case that we take, say, 100 rebirths as an animal before that projected, or the projecting cause of that karma is actualized into a human rebirth. So there can be quite a distance between the kind of projecting cause and the projected result. So the actualizing causes, craving, grasping, and becoming, must actualize the effect that is projected by the projecting causes. As ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness act as distant causes of some lifetime, they are called projecting causes. As it is not possible for the lifetime of another dependent arising sequence to exist between the actualizing causes, craving, grasping, and becoming, and their actualized effect, they act as nearby causes of any lifetime and are thus called actualizing causes. So there's nothing in between. When we have a sequence of craving, grasping, and becoming, that directly is connected to the actualized results of that future life, as well as the projected results. But it is not the case that our projecting causes are necessarily immediately preceding to the lifetime in which they ripen. It can be much distance between those.
Oh, yeah. Not the Topacheto, Onase, Dole Tende Yala Juni Sumba Nase, Solujamba Dole Sobacos, Tende Yala Juni Sumba, Sumba Nase, Jawa Chigi, Wando Che, the Sarchiki Yala Juni, Urim Chidari Yoba, never the timber machetes. Tende Yala Juni Shetuza, Jawa Chigi Wando Che, and it Tende Panja Juni Chata Shena Yabu, Tishamendo Asigora. Tome Maribache, Ningabanduchi, Subanam Sheshe, Antene Shiba Mesuche, Navachi, Tendis Panche, Chignal, Koran Panche, Juni Condeshi, Yungin, Tirumban, she Chata Chikshash and Dura, Tishem and Duasigora. One dollar tender Yala Juni Sumbana, Kawachigi, want to check the Sarchigi Yala Juni, Kurum Chidar, Dollar Neba, Timber Macheches. kiawa chigi chazang di kurang kurim chiwa na shin shemedwa ti she shan di wara sura. Kiawa ngu la se, kiawa ngu ma tele kar she so sene, nga ranzu chen di kiawa ngu ma tele sura. Kiawa ngu la gyuyi tumbu shin dor di batang se, tome marwa nipa duji, sumpa nam she se, kiawa ngu ma tele gyu di she re sura. Yane, ngu la gyuyi tumbu shin dor di batang. Kiawa chima tele yungju tele, chukchiba kiawa chungi ba gashi siya, drebu din dor di ni kiawa da gashi nyi nal di ni she sharwa. Kiawa chima lan drebu, drebu shen dor ten shen se, kiawa barba tele ta chen tele ya she ya tele skoda. Yosa de skoda, tende yala yosa de. Kiawa tele ya kari she to sene, kiawa nga me, drebu, shiba me su, nga ba keche, tukwa rekwa, timba tsora she kdwa. Drebu tende de she kdwa. Kiawa baba tere, ngombar, tupchi ki kyudan, pangben drebu, kebar sheba la kweba chiyusne. Kiawa barba tere ngombar, tupchi ki kyusde keba seba, kiawa chima liya keba seba kuba lemba chuba seba sumdi sheswa, disi wara. Ngombar tupchi ki kyudan se. Pangben drebu, kiawa baban deli sa, kiawa ngame pangben drebu shiba meso ngaba keji tukba rukba timba tsoa tozu sheswa. Pangben drebu kebar sheba la kweba chiyusne nasi. Tende koshe kyane kiawa sumni pa chiba kyamne she kwa kare chik panch ma she kare se wara. Che na, te dar she ba, te kondo she ba dar. Kiawa nga chi nipu lemba la yang la chungi kondi bata, tanda kondo she swa. Kyui tende kiawa chima tila ya, kiawa da gashi nyi bata she amate, tome marwe kunala nyi bata duji sumba namshi kukuye bata hakura. Ane, kiawan dili ya kiaba seba da kuba lemba shewa marte. Kiawan dii tende sarchi kwa kiaba seba kuba lemba shewa marwa. Ride kiawa chima dindro ya kiaba seba kuba lemba shewa tiki chani hako turu tali she sarin baasi gura. Tika hako tuku ya res ti she shana. Kiawa kandichi lana, ngeki kiawa kandichi lana tende sindroku yabate hako tuku resa. Kiawan de dine kaadu su. Yala chungi yobar kone batasi. Kiawa ngabar shesum ki ngamar kewe debi tende ki negab lese chima kyuyi tende nam chungdes tati keshen burwa. Kiawa chi langi warwa ti kasure. Debi tende ki kap surwa ngazu. Tanda ngazu debi tende rawa nyongdegi warwa soa shiba soa kasa. Soa dan chi tensu nyangchi tete warwa. Ti negab na chima ya koya ki tende tene le saya la soba mambu sa de yora. Ti kiawa chi ki debi negab su kiawa shenki kyuyi tende mambu sa ki yore se tene kyuyi chaya meba kora. Rwa mili ke tanda debi ti nyong de ya ti negab su nyawa yeda tendo kaya te le mambu sa de yora. O tende che ne kiawa chi ki kyuyi tende debi tende ki negab su kiawa shenki kyuyi tende parma sheba se ki yora. Tanda kowa chi ne chi tu gyu te yang le sa ne tu sun to tege ti hako ya chi tu re sun kora. Kiawa chi liya tende yang la chungi shanan sobe sun tu che son. Ta ti memba chi ti she te tanda she zu ne chi tu ne kiawa chi liya kiawa nga zu mi kiawe debi tende yi negab su mi da la da tundu la soba ki chi ki yang le shanda tende shanda sa tu kures ti koya chi tu re se. Kowa gyu ma che ba. Lenyo ji xiangwa che sikdwa, lenyo ji xiangwa che sonza ko nyamo xiangwa to gyurza yang len mada sa de yores. Ti hako ya chido re sungara. Ti mado ko le la se ne ko kiawa chikde xia se ne hako dura. Kiawa nga bar che sungye nga ma nga men drebu, drebu tende je nekabla chima gyuyu tende nam chungde, kiawa chikne chikdo gyude kurju din rube chido, kiawa chikne chikdo gyude thoma meba ne tanda bado yang la sa de ko de tanda do su dra yimba so ra me ba le nyu ji xiang che che tu ko de ti ha ko ya che do re su go ra ti ya ti bo de chi la na.
So here then another question arises where it says, when the Buddha taught the 12 factors of dependent arising in the sutras, so we see many kind of sutras, including here the Rice Seedling Sutra, where the Buddha taught these 12 factors of dependent arising, but he didn't describe the order of the 12 factors of one sequence from the viewpoint of a single lifetime. So someone might have the thought, well, it would be quite easy if we could just understand this in terms of a single lifetime, sort of going in order, how these 12 come about. But this is not the way that the Buddha explained it. He summarized a portion of the causes of a form in a formal lifetime. So talking about then the kind of prior projecting causes of ignorance, karmic formations, and consciousness that existed in a former lifetime, and briefly indicated a portion of the effects in the next lifetime, in the sense that if we're looking at the sort of middle lifetime, he really only explained birth and then aging and death in terms of those actualized effects in the next lifetime. He described in more detail the projected effects and actualizing causes in this middle lifetime. So here again, based upon the kind of causes that were created, projecting causes created in a former lifetime, he described then the projected effects of having name and form, the six sense bases, contact and feeling, as well as the kind of actualizing causes that lead to our future lifetime. So by the craving and clinging and renewed existence of this lifetime, that leads into then the birth and aging and death of a future lifetime. And so why did he do it in this way? So the answer to this is that there is great purpose. As explained above, by this description, you are able to understand the existence of the 12 factors in both previous and future lifetimes. From the effect factors that were produced in a prior lifetime arise the causal factors for the next lifetime. This continues from one lifetime to the next. It is a teaching that illustrates the way of cycling. So here there is a kind of great purpose in apportioning out the various causes and results, in the sense that it gives us an idea of how this cycle is constantly sort of coming on again and again. So here, when we have created the projecting causes for this life, and that's what's really explained in terms of a previous life, we then have the projected results. We have the name and form and six sense bases and contact and feeling that in turn lead us to be creating the causes in terms of those actualizing causes of craving, clinging, and renewed existence in the current lifetime. So we are sort of constantly in the process of creating new causes for our future lifetime based upon the kind of results that we have experienced from the causes in previous lifetimes. So in this case, like where we are a human being, and we have had the kind of projected effects of those projecting karmas that gave us this life, we in turn are creating all sorts of causes toward our next cycle. So really, this is basically getting at the kind of way in which we are in this cycle under the control of karma and the afflictions, that we have taken one rebirth. That's the results of previous karmas that we have created. But in turn, we are continuing to create new karmas and these kind of interlocking links of the 12 links of dependent origination. So this is showing the way in which we are constantly uncontrollably cycling by way of creating new causal factors for the next lifetime based upon the kind of effect factors that we have created or that we are experiencing in this lifetime.
Oh yeah. That thing I do can so that. Then the pending I do me Kawalan de Ra, debut Cabraba. Me Soanya de Yoda. That tell the tennis chakba. Soalia, Sidi, Sewa, Soa. Tawatoya, Kangi Susu, Kangi Share to Dalia. In it, and that John Amen, give a leg in Debu, long jebe cover. In a Delia, Chatangi Shawan to Son, Kondu Shawan to Sonne. 레트니 냐와 이다 텐도 계시글레 삼지메 제바 삼기 사그와 미 동자만 부치담 봄라마 부세고나 세체 단다 파워인 삼사 삼기로 서콜베 교만 부풍도야 레사요라 어디시오라 교와 지금 데뷔 텐데 야부지 임베 커미에나 냠바 마부사야요라니 코드레스 디하고야 치도 인수도 어디지라
So, like right now, we are a human being. This is the kind of result of a virtue that we created in the past. But on the basis of this human body, we then have contact and feelings. And due to the various feelings that we have, we basically, although we're enjoying the results of our previous virtue, we are newly creating various karmas based upon our afflictions. So, we might have the kind of sense of we're doing, say, killing others in order to gain our happiness. We think of ourselves as quite heroic. We kill hundreds or thousands of people thinking that we are doing something good, wherein in reality, during that time where you are enjoying the results of previous virtue, you're creating the kind of causes that will lead to suffering.
추나 시잖아 밀리 토블랑도르기 내신도 소소 대바 용야 미에 대바 용야 tunji 주변 요리 시고라 추시셔대 소소 기부 용 첸데 나미다 년데 상마 아니 밀라 팬토 소소 대완에 대완도에 레사에 고급을 지어라 다이나 뒤가서 딸만에서 텐드 껴와지 톱 테네 동해 요야게 껴와가 레사사게 교르 제공게 소리 차도라 Tile tandure skete yona yanko shita lenga baka sagu mara kote milikene tile turu roge suru chaso ya wade tila tindire
Mhm. So, really, right now we have this kind of special human life wherein we can, based upon a kind of knowledge of what we should adopt and avoid, we can create the causes for our happiness, not just our happiness, but that of other beings as well. But if instead we are to use this kind of human life for negativity, we have a great potential to do quite a bit of harm on this basis. If, say, for example, we were born as an animal, we might not be doing very much virtuous action, but we also probably aren't doing the really grave non-virtues that humans are capable of. So from a Dharma perspective, we really should see that this is an opportunity we have, and we should use it in the right way.
ngarazo chuchinge tsune tawade towa sanje ti sungu towa ta wade hindi nan mala tere kyo mambola pembada kyo mambola dewe chirse chusungbe sungu towa sendile dewa chuse de sendile randa shen samma debo yue kibu yue tanda chusungbe sungu yara ni pusu pembas sendile yabo rangshen debo yue lesana kyo da seba kumeda ya kanga cheni dewa yungu yara ane kyo chima pusu pengiris to ten debu nami di kyo chima yao yue sungura sendile dewa sanje namne junga de chuden bayan dewa yin se de sechima janja sungu yomara nami debu di kyo chima yue dira di sendile debu che yabuchi de di chen timbu che de di chen susu lega kari ne che tuye ane ten debu dili ya kyo chima rana pemba nami jin debu so di chima yue sungura o di 确实呢，我真的是那就拥有结果是来的多呀，就是
Mm.
我就是了。
So, here, the reason that the Buddha taught the Dharma was for happiness. And really, it is the kind of teaching that gives us happiness in a temporary sense, but also a benefit that comes in the long term. So here, when we are able to practice the Dharma in terms of being kind to others, harmonious with others, practicing patience and so forth, we create more peace and happiness in the present, but this also leads to positive ripening results in the future. So the Dharma is really about both a kind of happiness now in terms of how our conduct will lead to better circumstances, more harmonious circumstances in the present, as well as the kind of good ripening results in the future. The Dharma is all about happiness.
대장바도 좋아서 고추서대 소소 낭민의 고추 성구도와 당부 소소 나 대고 요요 나 동에 고매 섬사 삼을 숙천보 요거라 디내신 미창마에서 소소 낭미다 년전에 고쳐 숨도 잡아도 잡았어야 돼. 근데 봐 자셔 근데 심지어 임버점 개발지에 랑을 펜타보다 마다고 삼 심지어 임버점 그도 이나 삼을 팀마도면은 심지어 탐절을 미고서 되는 알아. 아야 못이라.
And really, this love and compassion, for example, starts from our friends and family. We need to start actually by first recognizing that we have a fundamental desire to be happy and not to suffer. And those who are our friends and our family, they have that exact same kind of desire. And when we are able to go beyond just those that we consider friends and family, but to the point where we recognize that everyone from just being a sentient being has that same desire to be happy and not to suffer, then we can develop a kind of genuine love and compassion that encompasses all sentient beings.
어야. 다 공도 까마실레 캬체 데발레 다도 롱장게 알아. 공도 까마실레 캬체 데발레 셰바 셰도 바꾼데 이제 아 아니 바꾼데 레자세 네 가르선도세네 펜베 양라 가셰나 마릭바다 다탈 로사서 마릭 펜베 양라스나 가셰나 마릭바다 두치다 넘버 셰버레 셰로 셰다세 띵이레 두치 가임바다 넘버 셰바 가임바다 네 시바 가임바다니 레지 꾸네 녀모바라 도스 오 셰다 띵이레 두치 가임바다 넘버 셰바 가임바다 시바 가임바데라 니반 두치 레체 추바 시베 레체 네 숨바 남시데 레 마레테 레지 kunsu 레지 니바 냥게 데 소자 케치슈 레지 니바 냥게 데 소자 엔테 레지 kunsu 또네 셰베 예수거라 두치 니반 두치다 넘버 시바 숨바 남시데 소라 시바 추바 시베 레데 로 레 가임바테네 레지 꾸네 녀모바 도오셰 레지 박산 조베 규두게 남시 데 레이나 그래서 레지 박샤샤서 레지 네바 심게 삼르탄도 지치고 콘도 나 제샤도다 야 개와 야가를 가르치는 심내 야기거라 심게도 네바 대대요라 코코라 튜소네 레사티 데부멘도거라 박샤 네바 징겐디 심게 징게거라 네바 냥게디 박샤 진베 규두게 남시데 레 마이 나야 레지 네바단 덴베 시인베나 레스 튜디 개와 펜시기 규르셰바 예나 펜시기 레게 콘스토네 셰바레서 토메마로 니부디 숨바남시 펜시기 레세소 펜시세소 다 레라 펜시세리 지다 레게 자와르 시르와 레 껴펜고라 남시디 레데 마르데 펜시 레 마르데이나 레지 콘스토네 셰바레서고라 가르스 레지 네바 용조 코냐네 미주고라 대단한 교회 때인데 주단 대비 때인데 주도 교로세 단들이 세준이 여러 맛이 원하는 거지 다 교회 때인데 주신 대비 때인데 주신 때도 중이라 도매 말이 봐서 니번 두시세 순번 남시세 네 개바세바 고발렘바 주바시바세 텔레 교회 때인데 시기도 대신다 되게 되네 대비 때인데 주시 중이리와 주시베 겨와시 중립 되네 가서 시바메소 가바케지 두번을 버튼 버서 이세 대저 겨와다 가시체 중리단에 교회된지 주 대비된지 주 셰주치요라 다신다야 셰주치요 디원에 위치래 다시 막보다 야 주도 주로시 어디시잖아요.
So then we have a source for this. This we've kind of gone over already, but echoing the above explanation from Kamala Shila's detailed commentary on the Rice Seedling Sutra, Asanga's Compendium of Knowledge also states, what are the projecting factors? They are ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness. It also states any conditioning factors, consciousness, consciousness, and becoming are included in afflicted karma. So here, the sort of projecting factors, which really refers to those things that sort of push or project one into a future rebirth, are ignorance conditioning factors in terms of the karma, and particularly the consciousness on which those karmic imprints have been placed. So we can think about that as it says here, although the consciousness in the causal period of carrying the predisposing latencies of karma is not karma itself. It is a basis that possesses the karmic potency. So that's why it's included in that section. So the second link of karmic formations or conditioning factors, and then the 10th link of becoming or renewed existence are actual karma. Whereas the consciousness that is at that causal point is really what is taking the imprint of that karma. As, for example, when we give rise to any sort of thought, when we have an intention, when we get angry, when we have pride, there is an imprint that is put down on our consciousness. It isn't just sort of lost, but rather this is because this consciousness, particularly at the time when those kinds of imprints are put down, is an important factor. It is considered to be a part of the karma, although it is not actually karma itself. So when it comes then to how these are considered, it is therefore folded in with karma and described as a cause that projects a lifetime. So because this consciousness holds those imprints of karma, although it is not itself karma, it is included within the two other links, karmic formations and becoming, that are actually karma. And there are therefore 6 causal factors and 6 effect factors. So in terms of, there's also another way of explaining this that will be described below. But here, in terms of the kind of causal factors, we have ignorance, conditioning factors, and consciousness, along with then craving, clinging, and becoming. And the other 6 factors, starting with name and form, and then birth and aging and death, are considered to be effect factors.
Oh yeah, how did you? That under you tended to that debut tended to share. That the young Mitumba Sonju and do share and Joan and the Sonsha share. Did I make a trunkate? The wood they would have. When I jewelers, Namshe Samsur Pumbu yes. Sumba Namshe the Tandang as a Jew tended share saw. Then dinner general Sumba Namshe Samsur Pumbu yes, Tambu Tambu Kival and Yazam get Sumba Namshe Shavera. Teach you to go Namshe the debut and the Saldrosa. Namshe Samsur Pumbu yes. She died in Yele. When that she did in dance. When that she did in the particle don't tell search. Mama Delia, do you tend to tell Tommy Mariba than even to see Lenny share? Sumba Namshe the cute and to share your mother. Sumba Namshe in Yazam Chawe, debut and to Shavera. Oh, when that she did Nini dance. To do those. Oh, she Sumba. She Sumba Namshe, the Sumba Namshe de. Jawachima Nizam Joya, Deduji Namshe. Kuduji Namshe, Target and Yala, true to Kut and to debut and to shed Namshe de Kudugi, Namshe Sigora, Ku Negondrosa. That under Delia Namshe de Nizam Joya Negam Telishagosena, and it tell Deduji Namshe Sigora. Debut Kablabashe, Yagara. Oh, Tenedisa, Suba Namshe, Jawachimber Nizam Jore, Dedugi, Namshe la share la se. Tagin Kudu shares are done, Debut share. Anything de China, Joangon Chala Marikwa than Duchi Nile Mashe. Do you tend to Joangoma Yuetela, Tome Maran, even Duchi share. Suba Namshe to Joan, they said the Tambutele, Suba Namshe sore. The debut of Shavera. Marikwa than Duchi Nile Mashe Bese. Tetana, Kui Tendenga Resora, Kui Tendenga. Sumba Namshe in debut and Italia Shatsarwa. Oh, Tine, and debut and Italia, Tunja, or Tindu Chavres, or rather debut and Tundu Jure. Nashi Sunju, Dini Galos, Gawan Duasana, then Gawa in Yomaritini, Tuta Society Medare, Sera, Gemede, Dwelle Shetu Tene, Tente Negabra Dube, Chidama Deva Yelase, Tichidama Duvare Sera. Shetu Koma Tenese, 222, debut 2 Shetera, Ningamba Koma, Papa Tomeda, no Umaba to Loseling Sutra, took the mental share to the Kayama, Mengelo, all this tuna.
So here, as was referenced above, there is a kind of different way of counting these. So then it says, question, Vasubandhu's Treasury of Knowledge states that consciousness is the connecting aggregate at conception. So here in this kind of mode of explanation, according to Vasubandhu's what we would call like lower Abhidharma, is then saying that this consciousness, now normally we count that within those first three, this fundamental ignorance and karmic formations, and then consciousness, referring to consciousness at that causal kind of moment. In this system, consciousness is referring to the effect consciousness that is the aggregate that connects at conception. So here, and then it also states that both the former lifetime and the next lifetime each have two factors of dependent arising, in the sense of having the causal components of ignorance and karmic formation. So according to the kind of dividing into 6 causal factors and 6 effect factors, one in that system is counting consciousness, really referring to the causal consciousness as part of those causes. And so here, going to the commentary, it says, this first statement describes the consciousness factor of dependent arising as the effect consciousness at the time of conception in the next lifetime. And so the second statement indicates only 2 factors of dependent arising, ignorance and conditioning factors, as factors that occur in a former lifetime. That makes 5 causal factors and 7 effect factors. And so therefore, aren't this and the former explanation of the 12 factors of dependent arising contradictory? So here it says, no, the kind of contradiction that one might identify is really is not a contradiction, in the sense that the Treasury of Knowledge by Vasubandhu, this description, which expresses the Vaibhashika's position, asserts occasional dependent arising. And so it's describing a dependent arising in a manner wherein the consciousness, the causal consciousness is not included, but the effect is. And so the prior explanation above, where we have the 6 and 6, is in the system of the upper Abhidharma school and the Madhyamaka school. So there's no contradiction. It's really based upon the different tenant kind of holders, that these different emphases are placed on various causal and resultant factors, but there's really no contradiction between their positions here.
Oh, yeah. Tadinema Dishedwa. Come some Gariana, Junior, you may, Jeba said, what? Did you do it? Oh, in the session,
so I think I think we're at a good breaking point, so maybe we will stop there for today and then pick up from do the 12 factors exist in all the 3 realms next time.
Thank you so much again, Rinpoche. It's so good to receive your teachings again. And Katrina, thank you so much for your very clear translation. So we'll finish with some dedication prayers. May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances, grant such and
May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Loseling's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Deyatayami. Due to this merit may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore.
Dinja Jema Jeongen.
아예. 아예.
Recording